Hey guys, it's Jordan with Cashflow AI, and we're going to talk about the 12-month trading roadmap you can use to be a professional bot trader. So let's start out quarter by quarter. Let's look at the first year at a glance here. So Q1, first 3 months, this is where you just want to learn, right? You want to get a few bots up and running, use some of your capital, and look to achieve 5 to 12% growth in that first quarter, right? After the first 3 months, you're going to want to look to get a few more bots, a few more capital, better growth. The next quarter, that's when you really start to scale, get 10 to 20 bots, very diversified portfolio, see better growth. And then Q4 is where you optimize for the second year and all the years going beyond that. Many bots, and that's where things get very, very fun, but pretty crazy at the same time. So month one, first steps, let's just say you just get started, right? First thing you want to do, just launch with one bot. Get your feet in the water, right? Use a very simple iron condor, our credit spread strategy. Just goal is to just put a little bit of your capital into the account and just build confidence, right? Get data, see if the strategy works, see what doesn't work, right? Test 1 or 2 bots, try one at a different take profit, one at a slightly different stop loss, and just see what happens, right? Follow them. Don't change anything. Just build some data and see where you can go from there. Now, once month 2 comes around and after your first month, you can start to get some data. And with that, you can start to develop another strategy. You can start to see what works, build another strategy separate from bot 1, check something about the correlation, right? Try and make sure they're not correlated to each other. So they're kind of separate strategies. Allocate a little more capital, but keep a decent amount of cash, right? You don't want to go too crazy with your first few bots here. You just want to make sure you get up and running, you get some data, and that's going to allow you to have the capital necessary for future bots in case you end up losing in the first few months or so. And after the first few months, this is kind of where a roadmap of where you could be, right? So 2 to 3 bots running smoothly. You have about 90 days of real data of bots that you know are working. You can do your first rebalance, so kind of allocate your capital to different bots, allocate it to ones that are working better, cut some of the bots that aren't working that well. And at this point, you should have a little bit of account growth. Now, Q2 is where things start to ramp up a bit. So after the first 3 months, this is where you kind of get an idea of what's working, what bots work, which ones don't. And then you can start to add a few more uncorrelated strategies, right? So you can deploy a little bit more capital, add some more strategies in the beginning of month 4 or 5, and then do a rebalancing at the end of month 5 or 6, and also do a mid-year review, right? See which bots are working, which ones perform really well, reallocate your capital to ones that are working well, and kind of move from there. Now, Q3 is when you start to scale, and this is where you really start to become and think more of like a professional trader, right? In the first few quarters, first few months, you're just adding a few bots. You're kind of just testing the water, seeing what's working, seeing how these bots operate. But Q3 is where things really start to go a bit crazy, right? This is where you start to do variations. So you can have like 10 to 20 different small variations of these bots. And that way you can not have a very diverse portfolio, right? So you can have about 10 to 20 different strategies. You can add more capital. You can start doing a routine of quarterly rebalancing and checking to see if your bots are performing well. And then Q4 is where things get like fully up to speed, right? This is where you have a lot more bots. And again, I know it might sound crazy to have like 30, 40, 50 bots. It may seem way out of scope if you're watching this early on, but it can start to add up pretty quickly. Because again, you can do slight variations, right? If you have a strategy that's at a 25% take profit, you can test one at a 35 or 40% take profit and see if that one does better. Or maybe they both end up doing well, but one of them has slightly different. They have a correlation where one wins and the other doesn't. And so maybe they work really well in a portfolio together. So at this point, you really want to fine tune your allocations, really get your Sharpe ratio as high it can be, do a year-end review, see what worked, have your bot portfolio running, and that's where you can really start to shoot for much bigger performance. And so really how to scale to that point where you are loading and running like 50 different bots, it really comes down to diversification, right? So having multiple different underlines, this isn't where you just start trading SPY or QQQ. You start looking at other indices as well. You have various strategy types. You're looking at different time frames. Instead of 0 DTE, maybe you're looking at 1 DTE as well. You mix different volatility approaches, so some that work in low volatility environments, some that work in high volatility environments. And you really want to shoot for your average correlation being under 3. So everything is diversified. They aren't kind of just like one big bot. And again, now that you have 50 different bots, you get to the point and you're using a very small percentage of your portfolio for all of your bots, well, that's going to allow you to have a very smooth curve, right? And so if you have your top 10 bots that are working really well, you put a decent chunk of your capital there. The remaining 40 bots, you put the other capital, and then you leave some in cash. And then you rebalance this every single month and see, okay, what's working, what isn't working, or you can rebalance this every quarter. That's going to allow you to scale in the most efficient way. And so really your rebalancing schedule is simple, right? As you scale, rebalancing becomes critical. So month 1 to 3, review at month 3. Then you start to get closer. You want to do more rebalancing a little bit quicker. And then as it starts to grow and you get to months 10 to 12, you want to do it every single month with a year-end and bi-yearly optimization. And so there you go. Year 1 is complete. What you should be able to do, or what your goal should be in 12 months, is not really about the expected returns. Obviously, making 30 to 70% a year sounds really nice, but these inputs are what's going to determine if you can get these outputs, right? So having a large bot portfolio that is diverse, having your capital efficiently deployed, and rebalancing every single month, every single quarter to ensure your top bots are getting the most amount of capital and your not performing bots are either being cut or they have a slightly less amount of capital in them. And at this point, you can be a professional bot trader earning very solid returns. I've seen some professional traders do a lot better than this, some do a lot less. But nonetheless, if you're able to get solid returns like this year over year with this bot portfolio, it's going to allow you to earn passive income at a very incredible rate. So I hope you guys did enjoy this video and this video series. Go ahead, get your bots deployed, developed, and do your recap in 12 months. I'm very excited to see where you'll be, and hope you guys did enjoy.